In the summer just gone, I lost 12.2 kilos of fat in 90 days. I'm going to pop a picture up here so you can see the transformation that I did. I usually do a fat loss phase, diet, whatever you want to call it, every single year. But this year, last year, I was like, I want to do it within a time frame. Usually I just do it until I'm lean enough and I see myself and I'm like, you're right, I'm lean enough, I'll stop now. But I gave myself 90 days. I managed to lose 12.2 kilos of fat. And why I love doing these phases is because, I've done this for 6, coming up to 7 years now. And every year you learn something new. And even as myself, rather seasoned, there's people more seasoned than me, but, I've been doing this quite a while. To know that I learn something new every single time. So what I'm going to do in this video, I'm going to keep it as short and as sweet as I can. I filmed this before and it somehow ended up into a 30-minute video, and not even I'd want to watch that myself. So I know you definitely won't. And by the time of this, by you clicked on this video, you're going to know how long this video would have been. But 5 lessons that are definitely going to help you, and 5 lessons I learned this year after 7 years of cutting but losing the 12.2 kilos of fat in 90 days. Lesson number 1 is fat loss is just a mindset. And the longer I've done this, the more I've realized that is everything you do, getting yourself out of bed in the morning, that's all mindset. A lot of our mindset will want us to stay in bed, not get up, not go for a shower, not go and do cardio, not go to the gym. And especially when the weather's crappy outside, you might not feel like it, you might have stuff going on at work, and motivation will drop. And the thing that's going to keep you ticking over is your ability to push through that and your mindset to push through. So I think for a lot of people, they always worry about the training side of things and nutrition side of things, but none of that matters. You could have the most amazing training program, you could have the most amazing perfect nutrition program all written out for you, but if you can't have the mindset to get up and go to the gym and perform that, then nothing's ever going to work. So it really does start with mindset. And that's one thing I realized. You're almost able to have perspective and almost conceptualize what, I think that's the right word, what you're even doing. And I think every year you sort of have the ability to compare that to years before. And I think that's definitely one of the things I realized this year from doing it in a short period of time, is that it's all mindset. From getting up, going to do your cardio, from going to the gym, but not only going to the gym, when you want to build a physique, you've got to be able to put that effort in, no matter if you're feeling a bit hungry, you're feeling a bit tired, you can't really be arsed, you've got things going on at work, the work still needs to be done, and that will be reflected in your end result. If you slack off, you don't go to the gym and you start lifting less weight and your strength goes down, you're going to lose muscle as well, and the end product of your physique isn't going to be how you want it. So it all starts with the top. Like I said, doesn't matter how perfect your program is, how good your coach is, if you can't execute yourself, regardless of the motivation, then you're never going to be able to make it work for you. Lesson number 2 is perspective helps. I always think about this. The task at hand can seem like a big task for you, going down the gym, losing fat, feeling a bit hungry. This is hard. I'm not saying it's the easiest thing in the world, but what I always do is I think of things that are way harder than this. This is all self-inflicted. It's such a privilege to be able to do this, to be able to choose how much food goes in our mouth. People do not have a choice how much food that goes in their mouth. People absolutely kill for this. So I always think of things like this, and it always helps, when I feel like I'm struggling, I feel like I can't do it, I feel like, honestly, this is, to have a house over my head, to be able to film this video, think of perspective. It's so easy to get caught up in the day-to-day that we forget how lucky we are to be able to choose how much food goes in our body, to be able to lose fat. Even to have body fat to lose in the first place is a privilege. People go through absolute hell, and you can't even imagine it. Even to think of, our grandparents, great grandparents who were, lived on rations through the wars, didn't have a choice, were sent to war when at 16. These are the things that people really lived through, and you don't even have to think of someone else in the country. Our grandparents, grandparents, these are the things that are much closer to home and that people have gone through. Your parents might even be immigrant parents. My dad's from Algeria, they had such a tough upbringing. And, the fact, I'm feeling hungry. We're eating 1,500, 2,000 calories, whatever you're eating. We're actually eating food and we're able to eat the food. Having this perspective is so helpful. When you can't be asked to get out of bed, you're like, if you can't be asked to get out of bed, someone else will. There's always going to be someone that's willing to do it. if you're not willing to do it. And that's the thing, it's our choice to do this. It's our choice to lose fat. We put ourselves in this position. So, using that perspective has been one of the things that has just helped me so much. When you feel like getting off the cross trainer, like, you can get off. You might feel like, oh, no one's watching, but you're watching. You are watching yourself. And, that says a lot about who you are and the person you are. So it's always worth using that perspective when times get tough, when push comes to shove and you feel like it's hard and you feel like you can't make it work. Use perspective, think about other people, think about everyone else, think about how lucky you are, and that will help you push on. Lesson number 3 is reducing processed food intake reduces cravings. Now, when I started this fat loss phase, I come off the back of being in Australia, eating quite a lot of crappier foods and, making things count because I was on almost 4,000 calories. So I'll eat this, I'll eat that. I got a bit lax with things, started to increase my intake of processed foods to not only get the calories in, but just, go out and enjoy these meals and probably let myself get a bit too slack with it. So when I come back to the UK and I started this fat loss phase, I was like, right, I'm going to go very clean with this. Not to the things you see on people on Instagram, not going to name names, but doing these 1 meals a day and not even having a Nando's sauce because it's got these, look at the back of these ingredients, look at the back of this. Well, yeah, I want, I care about these things, but not to that extent. So I was trying to keep things as less processed as possible. Basically, I wasn't taking the extremes like, look at this, look at the back of this sauce, look at the back of this season. Like, I don't care that much, but I'm on about what I used to do basically in the past, like Fiber One bars and stuff like that. I the little squares, I'd try and fit them into my plan. And the thing is, they almost make me want more. I'm one of those people where, if I have a little bit of something, I want a lot of it. And what I did this time is I actually found that by not just having a little bit and having none of it at all, that actually stopped my cravings even more than having a little bit was. Like, I know you could fit like these small Fiber One squares or like a squares bar, something you enjoy. But I felt like that actually made me crave more because I had a little bit and, I want more, I'd want more. Where it got to the point, so this time round, what I did is I just cut out completely. So my diet looked a little bit like this. I was having eggs and oats and fruit in the morning. And then I'd have chicken and rice pre-workout, chicken and rice post-workout. And I'd have beef, 5% beef mince and sweet potatoes. So, just meat, veg, and, single ingredient carbs, and that's how I really kept it. But obviously, apart from seasonings and things like that here and there, that's how I kept my diet. And and then I'll have fat sources on top of that. So I was just having like things like butter, or I was having olives, or I was having like avocado or nuts. Keeping it very simple, no process. And I feel like that really helped me. And not only that, but keeping it into a consistent routine. So I'd have the same meals every day, and it's like, oh, you have to eat the same meals. You can track if you want, but again, I feel like in the past when I was tracking food and I was trying to fit things into my fitness pal, I could fit this chocolate bar into my fitness pal. Yeah, you probably could, but is that going to make you want more? Probably. And you've got to think of the toss up between, would you rather eat the cleaner whole foods and, maybe it's not as enjoyable as a chocolate bar, but you're going to be less hungry because you're about to eat more of that. Whereas if you eat the chocolate bar, it might be nice for a second, but in an hour later, you're going to be hungrier. And these are the things you need to think of when you're dieting, because that's one of the things that held me back. And I know it will have held you back in the past, is your hunger when you're losing fat. So it's super important. And that's one of the things this year, just reducing my processed food intake really helped me, and keeping my foods the same. So same 4 meals, I'd have them every day. It meant I wasn't fanning around on my fitness pal like, oh, looking at foods, oh, what should I eat today, what should I eat today? I knew what I was eating, I enjoyed my meals, I had that every day, and that stopped me from focusing on food. Because I found like in the past when I was using my fitness pal, I'd have such a heavy focus on food, like, oh, you're saving all these recipes, and you would have done it as well, you're saving all these recipes on Instagram because you're hungry. You're never going to make them, let's be honest. And just keeping the foods the same, reducing my processed food intake completely. I wasn't even having whey protein. I was just keeping my meats, eggs, carbs, sweet potato, rice and oats, fruit, veg. Very simple, and it really works for me. And that's one thing I did this time that I haven't done in the past that really did help me, and I really did notice a difference from doing that. So I wasn't as anal as some people on here, but by doing that, it really did help. Lesson number 4 is don't drop your calories to only then drop your effort. So what I mean by this is something I've done in the past, and you will feel it. And when you become conscious of doing it, that's how I realized it this time around. So let's say your calories are 2000 and you're not losing weight. So you reduce your calories by 200. So you go down to 1800, but you need to keep your effort up, because if you drop your calories and you drop your effort as well, it's basically the same. You need to keep your effort up. So you need to keep your steps where they are. You need to be using the effort in the gym, pushing as hard as you can to lift the same weights and actually improve your strength. It's going to be harder. Of course it is. When you get to the back end of a diet and you start getting to lower ends of body fat, you're going to find it harder to keep that strength up. Fatigue will make a coward of anyone, basically, is what I'm trying to say. It will make a coward of you. And you need to think of that. Now, that's one of the things I thought of this time is, I'd feel myself dragging my legs, walk properly, walk up. These things really do make a difference. So when you're in the gym, make sure you're pushing as hard as you can to keep that strength up. When you're going for a walk, walk normally, don't just drag your feet. When you're doing your cardio, put that same intensity into your cardio, because then you will see the changes. But what you don't want to do is drop your calories and drop the effort, drop your calories, drop the effort, because then you're never going to see that change. You want to keep your effort nice and high and drop your calories alongside that. Okay. And that's one of the things I constantly thought of when I was walking around. I felt myself dragging around. But no, don't drop your calories and drop your effort, because you'll just become a smaller version of yourself. You might lose a bit of weight, but you're going to lose muscle as well, and you're going to lose fat. You look like, on like games when you were younger, and you'd be able to pump. Or I use Skate 3. I'm not sure if you would have used Skate 3, but any other game basically. And you can pump the character up and you can pump them down. They don't really get leaner, they just get larger and smaller. And that's what will happen with your physique. So keep the effort up and pull the calories down when you're making the change. Lesson number 5, and a very, very important lesson, is hold off making changes if you don't see results in just a few days. You have to be patient. Patience is the aim of the game for this one, okay? So there was plenty of times throughout this diet when, I work with a coach myself, even though I'm a coach and, I know what I'm doing because I do this with clients. You can never underestimate the power of a second eye to guide you, because for us and like for yourself, I know you want results quickly. And, let's say you see your weight stabilize for 4 or 5 days. You'll be like, oh, okay, my weight's not moving. I'm going to drop calories down. And there was plenty of instances where I'd wait a whole week. My weight wouldn't really move. And I'd be like, I'm hoping my coach makes changes this week because my weight isn't moving. And, he'd hold off making the changes. And I'd be like, oh, surely I'm not going to go into a second week with the same weight. And off the back of a week where my weight didn't move, I had one of my biggest weight drops. On average, I dropped 1.5 kilos. This is actually in real time. And I get it with clients as well. They might see things stabilize for a week and they'll be like, can I do more cardio? Can I eat less food? You want the results now, but honestly, when you get to the lower ends of body fat, you're going to really need that food. If you want to lose a few kilos, that's fine. But, if you want to build that standout physique where people see, you're lean, you've got your abs showing through, you've got the veins, and people look at you and you're like, right, they know this guy's lifts. Honestly, you just need to be patient, and take that from me, who's been in the past where you'd put the calories really low really soon, cardio sky high. You stick to it for a few weeks, you make a bit of progress, and you burn out and go around in circles. You want to make this not sustainable, because I don't like the word sustainable. It's overused. Be like, oh, sustainable this, sustainable fat loss. Like, fat loss isn't really meant to be sustainable, because you're not meant to lose fat forever. Fat loss is to lose fat in a deficit. If you stay in a deficit forever, you just starve yourself to death. So what you'd want to do is just hold off making changes. If you see for a week, or let's say you want to lose 1% of your body weight, you're 80 kilos and you only lose 0.4 across that week, hold off. There's no harm in waiting a few days to see if your weight changes, because things like stress, if you're highly stressed, your sleep's been bad, you're going to hold water, so you might be losing fat, but because you're holding water from the poor sleep and high stress, you might actually not see weight on the scale, but you actually are losing fat. So it's always worth holding off. Give it at least just over a week. So let's say 9-10 days, if you can 2 weeks. But if you're making no progress at all, then maybe, you might need to make a change. But honestly, give it time, because there's plenty of times through this where I feel like if I was coaching myself, because you act on impulse and you act on emotion because it's your own physique and you really want results, there's times where I will have made a change there. But having the second eye and having the professional opinion, like I have the professional opinion for my clients and my coach has one for me, that really just helps keeping your head screwed on and saves you from making pointless mistakes and starving yourself more than you really need to. Because later down the line, things really will plateau and you will need to make them changes. So if you make changes when they're not needed, you put food lower, cardio high, what happens when later down the line you get to lower ends of body fat and you need to lose a little bit more? And your cardio is already really high, your calories are really low, you're going to have to put your calories even lower, which is going to be tough, and you have to put your cardio even higher, and then you're going to struggle to maintain the effort. Like I said in the previous point, you're going to struggle to maintain that effort. And when you struggle to maintain that effort, cardio is high, calories are low, you get tired, strength in the gym goes down, you just end up in this position where you're crashing and burning and you're really struggling to stick to it. Those are my top 5 lessons of losing 12.2 kilos of fat in 90 days. I hope this helps. I'm new to YouTube and every sub goes a long way. So please hit the subscribe button, hit the like and drop a comment below, and I will see you in the next video.